Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems and welcome back to Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 5, where today we are going to be playing my custom replica version of the 2023 Oakland Supercross track while talking about the Oakland Supercross that just happened over the weekend. It was the rescheduled round 2 of the championship. I personally called it round 6 of the championship, but I also personally went to Oakland this past weekend, just getting back actually earlier today. Recording this on Sunday, and you guys will be seeing this on Monday or maybe after that. But we're going to recap the race from the weekend, talk about some of the things that went down, I should say, and happened on the track. And yeah, just kind of go over it a little bit. First of all, before we get there, this track, I've had people ask in these videos, this is only done on the PC. I haven't done anything on the Xbox or PlayStation yet for Supercross 5. I might do a couple more of these before Supercross 6 comes out on the Xbox or PlayStation, but for now, this is PC only. And it's just called 2023 Oakland SX. You can search my name, Kellen, and most people have been able to find it so far. So if you have any problems or whatever, just be sure to ask me in the comment section below. I'd be happy to help out. But, you know, building this track-wise, I don't think I got it like exactly spot on. I tried to make the lines flow a little bit more like what happened in real life as well. And you don't obviously have like everything perfect in terms of angles and the jump shapes and everything that you want. Like I wish you could do roll double through here a little bit faster than what the game kind of allows based on how they have 3-foot singles, but it's not really possible. So kind of stuck with what I got, and this is what we got. So let me know what you guys think about the rendition of this track and whether you wish look a little bit different or ride a little bit different, but it's close enough. So we'll run with it. Anyway, let's talk about Oakland. And of course, I'm riding as Chase Sexton today, but this is the first time I think I've done a video here this year in SX5 where I don't ride as the guy that actually won the main event or won the race, but we have to talk about it. I'm sorry. I like Chase Sexton a lot as a person. Talking to him as a member of the media, he's one of the best people to talk to in my opinion. He gives you really good straight answers. He doesn't really beat around the bush too much. Like I guess you could tell last couple weeks he's been really frustrated and hasn't exactly demonstrated that in the media. But I usually think that he's very personable, gives strong answers to questions, so I like interviewing him. And then I also personally like just chatting to him about just stuff beyond racing. So I like him a lot, but oh my gosh, like I can't even begin to believe that this is the second week in a row he has crashed away a win. So some people have said, like, what do you mean you can't believe it? Is what he does. But the difference is that Chase Sexton in the past has had these moments, right, where he crashes away a win, and maybe the next week he's not in a position to win, or maybe the next week he's in a position to win, but he's bounced back fairly quickly, I feel like, from all of those past mistakes. The fact that all week long the entire narrative was Chase had it, and he blew it, and then it happens again is what's unbelievable to me. Like it's unfathomable that the script rewrote itself in a way. But for those of you that don't know, and maybe you haven't watched race or whatever, Sexton, whole shots 450 main event, leads every single lap up until 7 minutes to go. Actually had about 5-second lead on championship leader Eli Tomac, and if Sexton won that main event, he would have taken over the championship lead by a single point. But through this section right here, he triple singles into this corner. He over jumps a little bit, lands, I think, on the rear brake, and it slides him out over the jump face of the next one. He also kind of was like sliding out up it anyway. So he 180s, lands kind of backwards, and falls. And by the time he picks it up, Tomac is already in the lead, and Sexton has lost all of his mojo, really, and starts sliding backwards and is not able to keep Tomac close. Eventually allows Cooper Webb through and finishes third, which, you know, he was at one point during that main event, 1 point up provisionally in the championship, and now he is down to 7 points behind Eli Tomac in the championship. So the silver lining is he still gets a podium. It's not all bad. It's 2 weeks in a row of second and third, and theoretically speaking, he hasn't lost a whole lot of points to Eli Tomac in the last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks, I should say, even though Eli has won 2 of the last 3 rounds. So in the end, it's not bad, but it's just like sucks for Sexton, and this is why like I feel for him, is because this narrative is just going to be blown up. Like it was already the narrative about him anyway, from the Minneapolis crash last year, the Thunder Valley crash, the Motocross of Nations qualifying race crash. Man, there was a lot of them that you just go down the order, and it sucks that he has these crashes while leading. Looks like he has it sewed up, and then something happens, and they're not really explainable as like that was a really tough section. It was definitely going to bite someone, or he had a small mental lapse. You could kind of tell it was coming. Like, that stuff is not, in my opinion, on the radar of what Sexton has had happen to him with his crashes. Like, he's crashed in very arguably easy spots of the track, like that triple single after the finish line jump. I don't really remember anybody else except maybe Caden Amrine in the LCQ crashing on it. That was it, though. Like, so, gosh, I just feel so bad for him, like, because this is just an unfortunate narrative that has been built around him, and then it just keeps happening. And he's going to have to get past it for sure, and he's done all the right things of saying, like, you know, we're going to regroup, we're going to come back stronger and all that. But the fact that it's happened again, and he has to go through this whole rigmarole again this week before the Triple Crown in Arlington, and to me, it just sucks. Like, as a member of the media, this isn't like, yay, like drama and story to talk about. That's not what I feel about it at all. I'm more like, darn it, I want to talk about Sexton and Eli Tomac having a gnarly battle trying to win this championship, and instead we just keep talking about Chase Sexton crashing the leads away, and that sucks in my opinion. So I feel for him. I hate that it happened again, and I do think it is unbelievable that it happened 2 weeks in a row in nearly identical situations in a way, where he more or less had the win. I mean, Coop was closer in Tampa, but still, Chase was really good and crashed it away. So it's a bummer, but the flip side of it is Eli Tomac does get his 48th career win. He ties Ricky Carmichael for third all-time on the 450 wins list, which still is not really computationable in my brain. And I feel like there's a lot of reasons why I don't necessarily put Eli on Carmichael's level, Stu's level, McGrath's level, but I'm not going to get into that. Otherwise, I'm just going to say right now that it is awesome. He is still racing at the highest level, still winning at the highest level, and potentially still maybe winning this championship at the highest level, because he has been remarkably good through the first 6 rounds of this championship. 4 wins and varying different ways that he's gotten the wins. The only thing that's like weird about it is that because he only has 4 wins, or I should say because he has 4 wins, it feels like it should be more blown out, but to only be 7 points ahead of Webb and Sexton, who are tied for second, just feels a lot closer than it should be. But Eli's had his troubles. Obviously, the 5th in Tampa didn't really wet anyone's whistle, including himself, and then he crashed at Anaheim, so it's not been completely smooth sailing. But yeah, like it's remarkable to see the run he's gone on. I think at this point you have to say he catches and passes James Stewart for second all-time on the list, which is at 50 wins. Even if he doesn't come back next year, I think he probably gets to 51 wins this year in some shape or form, which is also crazy to think about, because he would get to 7 wins on the season if that happens, and not many people lose titles with 7 wins, but somehow that seems like it's still a possibility to have 7 wins for Eli Tomac this year and not win this championship based on the way that Cooper Webb and Chase Sexton are riding. He gave it a bit of an interesting little flair at the end, did Eli, when he almost went down in the tough blocks after the first corner. Cooper Webb closed up, and Webb figured the whoops out way too late was the problem. He was jumping the second set. He should have been blitzing, and he was blitzing the first set for a long time when he should have been jumping, so he just kind of was doing the opposite thing, which is costing him a lot of time. Once he figured it out, though, he became the fastest rider on the track for the last 7 laps or so. And when he caught and passed Sexton, I was like, darn, you did it a little bit too late. And then Eli made the mistake and got a little bit close. But in the end, he just will have to settle for second. So 7 points between the top 3, which is now, in my opinion, the pretty clear and away top 3. I thought Jason Anderson needed to win Oakland to still be like, yep, I'm in this. And then Ken Roczen had a horrible Oakland, and nobody's really close. Like, I feel maybe Webb or Sexton break away to challenge Tomac, and then it becomes a 2-horse race, but I feel like this is the 3-horse race that we're going to have for the title this year. And this Triple Crown in Arlington is going to be very interesting, because I feel like a lot weighs on Sexton or Webb to get it done, to kind of like minimize a run here for Eli to go on. Like, to get to 5 wins at only the 7th round, if he is to win Arlington, dude, I don't know how you say that he doesn't win the title. Like, that's remarkable numbers to get to that point. So, yeah, like I said, bummed about Sexton. Eli's riding great. Can't fault him in any regard or any way. And it is what it is. 7 points between the top 3. AP gets 4th, another very solid ride for Plessinger. He's gone 4-3-4 the last 3 weeks. He just looks, generally speaking, better overall on the machine. I don't think that he's necessarily quite there with those top 3 just yet, but I think he could be a little sneaky, might get a little win in here before the season's out type of guy, especially at some tracks he's better at, like Daytona or Atlanta Motor Speedway. And if he's gelling on the bike, then the sky's the limit for him. So that would be kind of fun to watch because he's definitely been getting a lot better, and he definitely has been saying he's been a lot more comfortable. So hopefully that's some positive signs there. And then Jason Anderson rounded out the top 5, just ahead of Justin Barcia, who got into Adam Cianciarulo. And I tried to talk to Adam Cianciarulo after the race, and he was not having it. And it's fine. Like, I don't expect everybody to talk to the media after the race, but I could tell AC was rather frustrated with his run-in with Barcia. So, but anyway, yeah, Anderson, like, to me, he's probably going to win a race or two this year, I would guess. At some point, it's got to come together, but I don't necessarily see him as a guy that fits into the title scenario anymore at this point. So that's my mostly brief synopsis of the 450 class in Oakland. Let's jump over and talk 250s here for the last 9 minutes or so, because I feel like we have to start giving a lot more credit to the Lawrence brothers than maybe are given by the fans. And I say that just because, yes, the TV broadcast does tend to shove Jet down our throats a little bit, and even Jet himself has been like, dude, stop interviewing me when I get third in a Triple Crown race and stuff like that. So he knows that he's shoved down the throats a little bit, but I feel like because of that, the fans don't necessarily give the Lawrence brothers the credit for what they've accomplished. And the reason I'm saying this is because obviously Hunter has won the first 2 rounds of East and leads the East Championship. And now Jet has won the first 3 of the first 4 rounds of West, which means the Lawrence brothers have been 5 for 6 to start 250 Supercross this year. Both of them lead the championship. Jet won again this weekend in Oakland and did so relatively easily. Like, he didn't get the best start, but once he got into the lead after Hampshire went down, he looked really comfortable being there and pulled away, even through lap traffic. And I just, like, yes, maybe you could make an argument that Jet should already be in the 450 class, but realistically speaking, this is only his 3rd full year of 250 Supercross, and he's a generational talent. We all know it. He's going to move up to the 450 class and contend. But, dude, give some kudos to freaking Hunter Lawrence as well. Like, Hunter has gone through a rigmarole of injuries and problems and other things that when he came over, that he was expected to kind of be more of a guy than Jet. And now he's a perennial Supercross race winner and definitely probably the favorite to win this 250 East title. And the reason I want to bring this up now is because this is like the most clear example at this point, as we're at this stage in the season, that, dude, the Lawrence brothers own the 250 class. It's like just the accurate statement at this point in time. And it's, in my opinion, very remarkable that that's the level that we're at with those 2 guys. That 2 Australian kids that raced GPs, moved to Europe, uprooted their whole family, continued to uproot the family to move to the U.S., are now 5 for 6 to start the 250 Supercross championship this year, which it's not a surprise. I'm not like saying, holy crap, this is unfathomable that they're doing this, but it's remarkable when you sit down and actually look at it from like that standpoint of, this isn't just like 2 American brothers that grew up kind of in this system, knew what to expect coming in. Like, when Hunter came over here from the GPs, like, no Supercross experience ever, really, to, maybe rode a little bit at Heiko's track, which is Ken Roxon's dad. That he has a track in Germany, but not much beyond that. So to come over and now be a Supercross title guy, obviously we know Jet's a title guy. Like, I just think that they deserve a lot of credit, and it's been cool to see the progression for both of them. Obviously Jet has been pretty good from the start, but Hunter getting injured when he came here and slowly building back to the form that we saw him with relative inconsistency in the GPs. Like, when he was on in MX2, he was really on, but those days were kind of few and far between. So now for it to be more consistent at the front is pretty cool to see. And I mean, there's a world that we live in where we get to like 2025 and both Lawrence brothers are riding for Honda in the 450 class together, legitimately battling each other for a 450 championship. And that's crazy to me. So I'm just saying that as like a, hey, yes, I know the Lawrence brothers are shoved down our throats. However, what they're doing is just never been done before on a family level to this regard. Both brothers leading the titles, dominating the 250 class to the extent that they are, and it's just rad, in my opinion. I think it's cool for the sport that we have this dynamic. Just because if anybody watched the Super Bowl, And talking about getting shoved down your throat, the Kelsey brothers, which one was on the Eagles and one was on the Chiefs, definitely were shoved down our throats. But they, again, with good reason. When the brothers literally make the Super Bowl together, of course they're going to be talked about like endlessly. And I think that that's a scenario we see potentially happening with the Lawrence brothers in 450 Supercross one day. So I just feel like I want to jump on that bandwagon now and say, like, hey, pay attention, because as good as they both are, they're also going to both be very good in the 450 class. And keep in mind, when Hunter Lawrence, so he's signed with Honda through 23 and 24, which is supposed to be 250. I know motocross this year, definitely 250 indoors next year, probably to defend if he wins the title. And then maybe moves up to 450 outdoors on Honda alongside Jet. But, like, you have to realize that this is maybe Eli's last year, if not next year, definitely would be. Jason Anderson, Marvin Muscan, you know, they're both in their 30s now. And, like, Justin Barsha, Ken Roxon, those guys aren't far behind. I think Cooper Webb is 28 right now. We're getting to a point where the top-level talent, aside from Chase Sexton in the 450 class, is probably out the door soon. Not all of them. Some of them will stay around, and some of them will be kind of Marvin-ish, I think, where they're competitive, but maybe not title-winning competitive for an extended period of time outside of their title window years. But, yeah, like, we're going to lose a lot of this elite talent in the 450 class soon, and then we're going to see Sexton versus the Lawrence brothers versus whoever else starts stepping up to the plate behind that. By the time we get to like 2025. So again, I don't know, like this needs to be necessarily said right now. I think most people kind of know it, but it's something to think about, something to chew on a little bit. That yes, Jet Lawrence is dominating the 250 class right now, but he's about to be in the 450 class, and then he's about to be trying to contend for a 450 title, and his brother's coming right behind him at this stage. So interesting dynamic for sure. But yes, Jet did get the win in Oakland. He looks really good in the whoops. Maybe the cleanest day he's had this year in terms of not much crashing. I think he crashed once all day in first qualifying session, something like that. And then didn't get the best start in either his heat race or the main event, but quickly made amends with it by being god fast in the whoops in both sets. The most interesting dynamic of the 250 class to me was obviously Hampshire and McAdoo both were injured in their crashes at Anaheim 2. And they both said they were not 100% coming back this week, but both of them obviously finished on the podium. McAdoo gave Pierce Brown a little love tap to get there, but they both said they weren't feeling awesome, and to get on the box was kind of like a positive development for both of them. So Hampshire, even though he crashed the lead away, was kind of like, man, I didn't even want to be in the lead. I didn't feel like I could do 15 in the lead. So yes, Jet's blowout win looks maybe a little bit more gnarly because of that, but I think that it's cool that Hampshire and McAdoo are still doing just about everything right to battle through an injury and keep it as close as they can, because now Jet has a 20-point lead, and it's not like completely gone. Yes, 4 rounds, 20-point lead is pretty huge, but there's still 2 East-West showdowns and an extra Triple Crown I think that these guys have to go through at Glendale, so there's still some chaos to be had. Maybe things get a little bit Riley at some point, but Jet's been pretty well on it in this 250 class, and I don't see that necessarily stopping even after this break. But who knows? He's about to go test a 450 outdoors, and maybe that throws it for a little bit of a loop when he comes back. I don't know. I just know that he looks really darn good right now. But that's kind of it from Oakland. I will say, just to kind of like wrap up the discussion from Oakland, you know, I've been to Oakland Supercross the last 2 years, and it's not great. The surrounding areas are very rough. We make it a point to stay at some safer areas to not be a part of the stuff that happens. But I was at a Starbucks a couple blocks away from the stadium on Saturday morning. I was waiting to get my coffee, and suddenly I look at the barista that's making drinks behind there, and he just looks up and he says, "Hey, y'all better go check y'all's cars." And I look behind me out the window, and I just see people running. And I don't know if it was he saw thieves running or whether it was these people were running after thieves or whatever, but it's just dude, this is happening right next to the stadium. There's literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment in this parking lot at this stadium. Meanwhile, at a Starbucks 2 blocks away, people are getting robbed. And it's just it's not a good situation. And I heard some things through being near Steve Mathis while he had some conversations this weekend. I'm not going to say that I was the one to grab the scoops. It was definitely Steve getting the good scoops on this, but it sounds like we may not be going back to Oakland anymore after this. I think like some of the things that are happening this weekend were kind of the final straw, but I don't necessarily think that a Bay Area Supercross is completely gone. You know, I have a lot of close friends from Northern California. I actually ran into a former kind of boss of mine this past weekend. That was really fun to catch up with him, and I love a lot of stuff in Northern California, but I think the Oakland Supercross is not it. Unfortunately, like it's something that probably is the most glaring, needs to be changed type of thing on the schedule right now. And even going in person, like it's not that I necessarily felt like in danger for myself or really anything along those lines at all, but you just can tell it's just no one's having a good time around the stadium. None of the riders seem to really be happy to be there. Most of the personnel still seem to be happy to be there. So I think if we do move out, it'll be probably a welcome sight for most people in the pits if it happens next year. So anyway, that's my whole synopsis on Oakland. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about some of my thoughts and opinions on things that have happened, and anything else that I didn't touch on that you would like me to add on to and talk about or what have you. But I appreciate you guys stopping by, watching another video here on Start Your Systems. My name is Kellen, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. So long for now.